Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Craig here, coming to you live, back at it with some more racing action we're going to do here. Basically, we are going to go into the Sasco Racing Sim Studio shop and get the two trucks. We just purchased two NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series chassis, and we are going to go ahead and start building the trucks for the let's see up above me here, the Next Era Energy 250 at Daytona International Super Speedway. So we're super pumped about this. Super pumped to let you guys into the shop, and show you how we build these things up. Every weekend we will have the race. We will, after the race is over, bring into the shop, tear the trucks down. Then in a couple of days, we'll rebuild the trucks, get them ready for the next race weekend and all that good stuff. So you actually get to see the grind and hustle of an actual NASCAR team while they go through everything that they go through to get the cars prepared for every weekend's race. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the race shop. Here we are inside the Sasco Racing shop, and you'll see two bare chassis just sitting here. These are the two chassis for our 2023 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. It is chassis number 1 right here, chassis number 2 right here. This is our primary, this is our backup. So in case we crash this one, we have a backup to take with every weekend. You see they're down to bare metal. We have to build the suspension, we have to build the cooling system, we have to build the engine, we have to build everything from bare bones all the way from the ground up. So primary car 1, I think we'll go ahead over here and start with the engine. So we'll get the engine started on chassis number 1. Let's see here. So we're going to create a new engine. We're going with the single carb V8. There we go. So now we're going to put the engine block on. There's our engine block is added to the engine carrier here. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to start with the crankshaft and put in the basically what we're going to do is, shoot, can't see it. Basically the first thing we're going to do here is flip this engine block upside down so we can get underneath it. So we spin it around like that because we got to put the pistons in. I can't think right now. First thing we're going to do is put the crankshaft in. So there's our brand new crankshaft, and we can put the camshaft in while we're at it. I guess we'll do that. Now what we got to do here is the crankshaft bearing caps. This is what holds the crankshaft in place. So basically whenever you hear somebody talk about RPM, basically this right here is what they are talking about, revolutions per minute. So this shaft right here, the crankshaft, is based off, is what the RPMs are based off of. However many revolutions this shaft spins in 1 minute is your RPM. So if you're at, let's say at Daytona, we're going to be hitting 7,500 to 8,000 RPMs to shift. So if you're at 7,500 to 8,000 RPMs, that means this shaft is spinning 7,500 times to 8,000 times per minute. And then we shift the gears. That's where RPM comes from. Got one more bearing cap to put on here, hold the crankshaft down, and now we can start adding the pistons with the piston rings included. And the rod cap is right here. Bolt that down, and that's what holds the piston onto the crankshaft. I'll do these each individually, one at a time. Again, we do have 2 cars, so it is 2 engines we're going to have to build, and then all the suspension and everything on the actual car we're going to have to do twice as well, because obviously there's 2 trucks that we got to build. piston rod cap. Now we put the oil pan to cover this up. 3 bolts here, bolt down the oil pan. This is where the oil filter goes, so we'll go ahead and pop that in there real quick. We'll back out here, put the engine back right side up. Now we can start working on the top. I always like to start, because the cam gear is just kind of hanging here. So the first thing I want to do is get the cam gear on here, get the timing chain on, and then get the timing chain cover on. So there's the cam gear, here's the timing chain. Now we put the timing cover on. Actually, I'll put the water pump on as well. So you see, this is the water pump right here. It's invisible because I haven't added it yet. Just telling you that's where it goes. Then you see this hole right here, this hole right here. Basically, the water flows from the radiator through this hose, through here, goes to the engine, back out this way, back into here, out the top through the radiator again. So we'll put the water pump on. That is that. Can actually put the water pump, we'll put the pulleys on as well, just to hold everything in place. Good. Alright, now we are going to hook the distributor up to the cam gear, or the camshaft, and we'll leave it at that. We'll put the, actually no, we'll go ahead and put the rotor in now, and we'll put the cap on, distributor cap. This is what powers the, basically, you know, the engine, the spark of the engine. Alright, now we're going to add the engine head. We'll do one side at a time. So this whole side will build up, and then we'll do the other side. So bolt the engine head on, 3 bolts there, 5 bolts on the bottom. And then you'll notice here, these 4 holes, that's where the exhaust manifold goes to let the exhaust out the tailpipes. Here you got your valve push rods. All this has to be put in one at a time, and then your rocker arms go on top of that. These right here are what hold the valve and keep the valve going up and down, so that right here you got this spring, you got the rocker arm, and you got the push rod. The push rod goes up and down, it pushes up on that, pushes down, and that's what opens the valve to let air and fuel mixture in. And then on this side it's the same thing, except it's letting the exhaust out. So that's pretty much that. Get some more push rods in, rocker arms. All these NASCAR engines are V8 pattern, 350 cubic, 750 horsepower engines. So a lot of these things have to go 16 rocker arms, 16 valve push rods per engine head. Alright, so that's that. Now what I'm going to do is, we'll just put the head cover on now. Cover all that stuff up. Swap around to the other side here. Hook this engine head up. Alright, now you'll see this right here, this invisible spider looking guy with 4 arms on each side of it. So basically, this is a hole in the opening here. Air goes into this hole in the opening, and it goes through these 4 arms into this side, 4 arms into this side, right? And then as it goes down in there, you have fuel that gets pushed into these holes as well. They go down into here. Then, right here, you got the spark plug. This fires, and it pushes those pistons up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then these valves open and close as that's going up and down, pushing in fuel and air mixture, igniting, pushing fuel, burnt fuel and air out the tailpipes. That's how internal combustion engine. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Internal combustion engine works. Now we got these push rods to do, and we got the rocker arms to do on this side. We are moving quickly here. I have gotten really good at putting these cars together, trucks and cars. I do have the Xfinity car, as well as I think I bought 4 next-gen cars, so we're ready for the Cup Series, but we got to get through the Truck Series before we can move up to the Xfinity, and then we can move into the Cup Series. But I do have all the cars purchased, and we do have all the parts for them to get them running every weekend. We might get some chances to run some Xfinity and possibly some Cup races this season too, so I do have the cars ready to go. Saskell Racing is in full effect. We got this head cover on now. Perfect. Alright, there we go. We'll throw the intake manifold on. And then in real life, there's a plate with a handle that you'd put over that hole so nothing gets dropped down into the intake manifold that could lead down into the engine heads and do some damage. So we'll pretend like that's there. Do some pretending here. Alright, next step is we are going to work on the front stuff here. So we'll add the alternator. Hold that down. We'll go ahead and do the power steering pump. That we'll go ahead and add the serpentine belt. See, crankshaft has this belt hooked up to the power steering pump, which is spinning that. And then you got another serpentine belt here. Crankshaft is spinning this belt, which is spinning the alternator and the water pump at the same time. That's that. We will move on to this side now. Adding the exhaust manifold. Got a bunch of little bolts holding it together. And we'll go ahead and add the spark plugs. Ready to rock and roll on that side. Spin her around here and get to the other side. Go ahead and add the intake manifold, or exhaust manifold, I'm sorry. These are the pipes that hook up to these 4 holes and push the exhaust out the back of the car. Spark plugs. Awesome. We'll go ahead and add the ignition wires. Add a carburetor. And that's it. This car is done, or this engine is done. We'll go ahead and take it off the bench. Add the second one now. That's the engine block. Back out, spin it upside down. And we do the same thing all over again for the second engine. Here's the crankshaft. Add the camshaft. Crankshaft bearings. A lot of times you hear people say, you know, oh, if you were hitting that many RPMs, you'll be picking pistons up from the driveway. That's because if you blow a motor, these pistons have a tendency to break, and you'll push it right through the bottom of the oil pan. More than likely, though, when you blow an engine, it's usually something with the valves. You break this valve stem, and you got some serious problem because now you're not getting airflow and fuel and mixture, or you're not getting exhaust out of the engine. One of the two. Piston and piston rings all going together here. Alright, put the oil pan on. On an oil filter. Ready to flip this bad boy back over. Get to work. Again, start with the cam gear here. Timing chain. Now I can throw the distributor on, line that all up with the cam gear. You see right there. And it's got teeth on it that hook up to the cam. And that this spins, which spins the rotor inside here. And that cap with the distributor wires sends the power to the spark plugs to light the fuel and air mixture in the chambers. Whoever created the internal combustion engine, I swear, is a complete genius, because all this stuff has to be timed perfectly. It's really amazing. I've been a NASCAR fan since 1997, never really cared about the engine and the things. I was always fascinated with the aerodynamics. Recently, in the past 5 to 7 years, I've really gotten into the engines of these things, and I am telling you what, it is absolutely astonishing what these things can do. Alright, let's get the engine head on. Okay. This engine head cover on. The exhaust manifold. Spark plugs in. Get this head on. Moving right along here. push rods and the rocker arms. All right, the head cover on. Exhaust manifold. Spark plugs. Serpentine belts. Now we'll get the ignition distributor rotor on, get the cap on, clip it down. Get the intake manifold and carburetor going. Ignition wires, carburetor, boom, we're ready to go. Make sure I got everything I need. Good to go. Alright, let's pull this bad boy off. Now we're ready to start working on the case. We'll start working on car 1 first. We'll start with the front suspension. And we'll start with the steering rack and the sway bar, front sway bar. For the inner tie rod, get the front steering knuckle on, upper suspension arm with the rubber bushings, 3 bolts for these. 2 and 1 over here. Now we will go with the lower suspension arm with the 2 rubber bushings holding it together. Bolt 1, bolt 2, bolt 3. Alright, now we can put the front sway bar end link. I forgot that I gotta get this shocks and springs, the coil-over springs going. So we'll come over here to our spring puller. We'll join all these parts. There is the double wishbone shock absorber front spring and the front shock absorber cap. Throw it on there, and it is putting my suspension together, my shocks, coil-over shocks. I do got 2 cars, so we are going to do 4 of these today. 2 trucks, I'm sorry. The 4th one. Alright, all my coil-over shocks are done. Be sure. Alright, now we come back over here to the truck, go to suspension, part mount, and we can add this double wishbone coil-over shock absorber. Boom. That is done. Now that's all the suspension, upper arm, lower arm, coil over, double wishbone, shock absorber, front sway bar link, inner tie rod, outer tie rod, steering knuckle, and now we work on the braking system. Here's the actual cover, front wheel hub. This has 3 bolts on it. 1, 2, 3. We're back around to the front. Now we got ventilated disc brakes. You got to get a wheel hub bearing inside here. Wheel hub cap, brake pads, and a brake caliper with the brake caliper cylinder. And this has 2 bolts in the back of it, boom and boom. And that is the front suspension on the passenger side. Now, we go over to the driver's side and do it all over again. Let's get the inner tie rod out of the way. Front steering knuckle out of the way. Lower suspension arm. Rubber bushings. Bolt 1. Bolt 2. Bolt 3. Now, let's get the upper control arm. Bolt 1, bolt 2, bolt 3. Now I can put the outer tie rod on, fold that down, and hook up the sway bar front end link. Fold that down and put the double wishbone, coil over double wishbone shock absorber on. Now get to the front driver's side braking system. Wheel hub, connected by 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. Ventilated brake disc, wheel hub bearing, front wheel hub cap, brake pads, brake caliper with brake caliper cylinder. And we come back here and bolt this down like so. Alright, that's all. The front suspension is done on car 1. Move to the rear here. While we're back here, before we go anywhere, we are going to go ahead and put in the fuel cell. Fuel cell is in, and we got a coil spring rear drive axle. Get that hooked up there, and then we'll put these arms in here to hold it all together. So the bushing goes inside there, and it gets bolted in like so. You got this plate here, spring neck plate with these leaf U-spring U-bolts, one on each side. Boom. Now we'll jump over here. This control arm going. With a rubber bushing. Boom. Bolt it down. Put the plate in. Get the U-bolts. Okay, now we can start working on the suspension. I'm going to get the springs in before everything goes in nice and tight. So now I can put the shock absorber on. And we will be done with this side suspension. Perfect. The fuel pump, fuel filter pump. This, with the spring, and shock absorber. Okay, now I can work on the rear braking system. The axle knuckle, wheel hub, solid rear drive axle. It's got 4 bolts, so we move back here. 1, 2. Come around to the other side. 1, 2. Lock down. This one has regular brake discs, not the ventilated ones. So it goes on there. Brake pads. And I have brake caliper with the brake caliper cylinder. And bolt that down there. Awesome. We are done with the rear suspension on the passenger side. Now we do the driver's side braking system. Patch, caliper, and go ahead and bolt it in. Cool. Alright, now we've got the fuel cell in. All of the front and rear suspension is all connected. So we'll go ahead and throw some wheels on this bad boy so we can let it all the way down to the ground. Those slick racing tires on there. Okay, now we can bring it down all the way to the ground. Ah, dang it, I gotta hold it. Okay, bring it back down all the way to the ground. I'm going to hook this up with a fuel pump. The batteries go back here as well. We'll go ahead and install the batteries. The main battery and the backup battery. Come over here and put the master cylinder in for the brake fluid. Here. Okay. Now we'll get an engine in there. Almost ready to start with the transmission. That's not what I want to do. I need to get my engine hoist over here. Got my engine hoist. Installing an engine. That. Go to assemble mode and put the air filter system on there. Boom. That is that. Alright, now we gotta put the radiator in. Radiator's installed. Now, all we gotta do is put the body on it. There's the truck body. Put this window in. Windshield. Roof flap. Hood. And a rear window. There we go. The primary truck is now finished and ready to race. Oh, wait a minute. Still got a couple more things I gotta put on here. A fuel filter. And an ignition coil. There we go. It's ready to roll. There it is. and gentlemen, this truck is ready to go hit the track at Daytona. Oh wait, I put oil in it. Check the oil level. Perfect. She's ready to go. Shut the hood and we will put her at the bay door. And she is ready to race and be picked up and put in the transporter. Now, we work on car number 2. Lift her up. The first thing I want to start with is the fuel cell. Done. Move over here to the front suspension. I'm just going to breeze through this really quick at this point. You guys all seen the first one. Let's get out there. Alright. Front's done. Let's get to the rear. Rear braking system. That's done. Rock and rolling right through this. Sweet. There it is. Put the wheels on here now. Right. Down. Oh, got to do the transmission on the first car. Yep, we got to bring this back over. We don't have a transmission in it. Forgot about that. We don't have to take the body off. We just got to get up underneath it and get the clutch assembly in and flywheel, clutch assembly, and the drive shaft, and the transmission and the drive shaft. So let's get to work. Flywheel, clutch plate, clutch pressure plate, and clutch release bearing. Now we got the transmission. Bolt that down. Walk right into the transmission. Bolt that down. Then we got to add the starter. Alright, starter's on. Drive shaft. On, and now we got to put the tailpipes on and we'll be good. Alright, now this car is ready to be done. Truck. Now this truck is ready to be done. Yeah, but we are almost done with this guy. The pump, batteries. Okay. Now we need to drop the engine. Invoice. Day 2. I'll put the master cylinder on first. filter system. Now I need a cooling system, a radiator, and now I need the coil, ignition coil, and my fuel filter. There it is. Throw the body on it. Front windshield. Got the hood. Side window. Roof flap. Rear window. Lift it up. Almost done with these. Flywheel, clutch plate, clutch pressure plate, bolt it down, clutch release bearing, and the transmission. Put the starter in. Drive shaft. Tailpipes. Put some oil in it. Ready to go. We're going to throw it on, put it in the test path, check the brakes, check the suspension. We'll throw it on the dyno, check it for horsepower, and we're going to head out to the track. So yeah, that's it. Go ahead and get this moved over to the bay 2. We're going to send our truck over to pick these up, load them up into the back of the truck, and we're going to head out to Daytona. So that's the end of this one, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed that. It's basically a rundown on how these cars are built, and you know, you guys are going to get to see not just the race weekend, but you're going to get to see during the week on what it's like and the pressure these guys go under to make sure they get these things perfectly fabricated and built so that they can get on the racetrack and be competitive every weekend. So want to thank the sponsors that we have, Sasco Racing. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're liking the videos. We appreciate everybody who is subscribed, and those of you who watch and haven't subscribed yet, just jump on there. We'd appreciate it. We also got Valvoline. We got some new sponsors on there: Reliance Restoration, ABC Supply Company, GAF and GAF Master Elite Certified, Pepsi Cola, Logitech. I think that's all of them. I could be wrong, but I think that's all of them. Valvoline. So that's all the sponsors, and I want to give all you guys thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Those of you, the few of you who do, I'm very grateful for that. And we'll catch you at Daytona International Raceway for the Next Era Energy 250 at Daytona. Kicking the season off with the Truck Series. Let's rock and roll, baby. Till next time, You all are amazing. If nobody's told you yet, you're all amazing. And have a great rest of your day, night, and have a great